Alrighty, I'm gonna give full transparency because I have like about uh, almost like 70 to 100 hours on Texas Chainsaw. I have played this game. Yes, I've played this game a couple of times on the channel with certain people, with friends and whatnot, etc. And we were having a very solid time with it. Actually, we thought it was pretty fun and engaging and unique. And the full transparency on my behalf is I did receive a code from Gun Media. I am grateful that Gun Media did give me a code for this game, and I got to review it on my channel and talk about my impressions, which were pretty solid of the game. So I do thank Gun Media in that regard for giving me the benefit of the doubt, giving me the opportunity to get a code for their game and review it and give my full thoughts and my full opinions on the matter. I will thank them for that, but I am seeing this community fallout of Gun Media canceling their Texas Chainsaw updates and saying that the future of the game is fully realized and there will be no more DLC, there will be no more other updates. They're gonna try to keep the game alive, which is good. I heard they are also the same developers behind Friday the 13th. Now, I'm gonna be fair to Gun Media on this one. For Friday, Jason is shackled by a bunch of licensing issues. We all know this. We all know that the Friday the 13th franchise rights, they're a bit sticky in those regards, where it's like even the creators are fighting over the rights, like Jason being in court. We all know the memes, we all know that stuff. I think they were forced to basically shut that down. Should they have made offline mode? Yes, I agree. But for that one, it's just a bunch of legal trouble that got in the way. The excuse is not really that much valid with this one because they're keeping the servers up. So they have done that right for this game, and it doesn't seem to be any licensing getting in the way. That's not what they said. They just said the game is fully realized, much to the ire of the fan base, and that the last patch is going to be in May, and you might get more patches in the future in order to transition towards peer-to-peer matchmaking, which sounds like that could be a disaster to me. Are you going from dedicated servers to peer-to-peer, where in my experience for peer-to-peer servers, I've played Resident Evil Reverse and I've played Resident Evil Resistance, and peer-to-peer was not great. I saw people glitching around and it just really kind of whittled down the meta more and more. Maybe this is the only option they have left to keep the game afloat, because if they were to do dedicated servers, then maybe it would be like, oh well, we can't keep it up for that long because it takes too much money. But at the same time, going to P2P and having more garbage with the connections in Texas Chainsaw is not good. It doesn't sound good. Gun Media, basically what you have done is you killed an asymmetrical horror game that was completely under your control to advise and give more updates and give more response to the community. And a couple of these criticisms toward your game, people have said there are changes that you did not meet. Obviously people making fun of you, saying, oh look at this is a sketch drawing in Dead by Daylight. How is your bad response getting like outwitted by a horse that's drawn on DVD? that's kind of funny. How are you gonna get outdone by a horse that's gone missing, jaboy? And then you have people saying they quit. They basically put their entire paycheck on Skeet Ulrich, which I didn't know that Skeet Ulrich was in this game from Scream fame. So they got like a sort of horror celebrity in there, and they put him in, and they say you spent your entire paycheck on him and you called it quits. Then there's more people saying, I kind of wish we can go back to the launch day when the dev actually gave a fuck about the community. It's insane that Gun Media never released the offline patch for Friday the 13th, the game, and now Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, really? I did play the game on launch day. It was so fun. Now there's no words. Obvious disappointment here. And this was way too expected too. The lack of communication, lack of content, updates pushed back time and time again, bugs persisting for months, uninspired yet expensive cosmetics. You had one of the biggest gold mines given a second opportunity with a license and you failed. Whew, brutality right there. Every single asymmetrical horror game I love dies. I really need a live service company to make a horror asymmetrical game and keep it afloat, because Dead by Daylight cannot and should not be the end all be all. We deserve better. Moving on to this post, Friday the 13th died. Video Game Society, or Video Horror Society, I believe, that died. Resident Evil Resistance and Rebirth is dead, and Evil Dead the game dead. That was recently confirmed as well, where they're basically shutting down Evil Dead the game, and that's it. They're delisting it. Texas Chainsaw died last year. The Nightmare died. Clowns from Outer Space is also dying. Identity V is alive and thriving, but it's not competing with Dead by Daylight or BHVR. And okay, let's just speak on this topic right here. Let's have this as the capstone of the video itself and some more of my final thoughts. I believe that Gun Media, for an online game, because it kind of baffles me in my brain, it's like for any online game, I believe that killing support 2 years in is really suspect behavior. There was one chick who made a great point as I was contemplating doing this video, where she said they decided to finally make Texas Chainsaw free for PlayStation Plus. They put it on Plus and people were enjoying it. That gave a boost to the game, and then you got suckered in for all the cosmetics and all the items and all the executions and whatnot, only for them to rug pull you and say that the game is dead a couple of months later. Like, isn't that, like, wouldn't you be super mad that you found something you invested into in PlayStation Plus as a horror asymmetrical title, and then you play it, and then you love it, and then you decide to support it and give money, and all of a sudden it's like, well, support is dead. That means that the online for the player base is gonna die too, because no one else is gonna want to play it. Like, come on. Horror asymmetrical has a very hard time surviving because of shit like this, where they just decide to kill support for all the wrong reasons. Like, one of my friends, like one of my best friends, and just a couple of other people that are very close to me, we were playing Video Horror Society, and the only thing that we were saying was, this game needs to have balance updates. It was so fun. It was cool. It was a really cool idea. Just running around seeing all these different monsters, like big neon robots and whatnot. It was fun to play this asymmetrical horror, and then it died. And I felt the same way about Evil Dead. Very fun, going around killing deadites, and then the balancing. We just said, could you please fix the balancing for the characters? Fix the balancing for the demons. Some of the demons are a little bit too OP, and then we're shutting down the game. That's it. No more updates, right? Fucking Resident Evil Resistance. I know that's going to get taken offline because they're already taking Rebirth offline. In Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's only a matter of time before the player base dips, and then the game gets, you know, it gets the sort of persona non grata to the back of the head. It gets the coup de grace, right? I'm saying all of this to say that I agree. The only asymmetrical horror game that's a readily stupid success is Dead by Daylight. And it shouldn't be that way, because there's so many horror IPs that you can not only do single player with, but multiplayer with. Have it turn out to be fun, because these two Gun Media games, Friday and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they were good. The ones I listed, I had fun with Evil Dead. That was good, but it's always them killing support and not addressing the balancing thoroughly when people complain about it. and saying, oh, you can't take these games too competitively and stuff like that. I just believe that is bullshit, and the most people want is just a balanced multiplayer that everyone can get into, cross-play, the typical shit really. And then if you want to add your bits and bobs, your costumes, your different characters, your meta, your new villains, your new killers and whatnot, then we just want the game to be supported, and that's it. That's really only the slightest thing that we're asking for, and these developers cannot deliver. And I believe that the main shotgun to the back of the head for a lot of people who really love Texas Chainsaw and supported it and gave money to it is the fact that Gun Media in this post announced that we're working on our next project. And that feels like a slap in the face to a lot of people. So, you know, you understand that developers, they make games and they go along and they move on to the next thing. I think that's set in stone. I think that is common. That is a common thing. However, if you're making another horror asymmetrical, there was a horror asymmetrical that you were in control of, and you did not provide all of the stuff that the community always asked for at the end of it, and you kept delaying updates and all that other stuff and whatnot, and it feels like an unfinished vision as opposed to being like fully realized, then you're gonna have people pissed off, and you're gonna have those same people be like, you know, they're gonna implant it in their heads, Gun. I'm sorry to say, like I said, I do love your game. I do love this game. This game was very fucking fun. Carving up people with Leatherface, I think I got like a max Leatherface in the game. Just that shit was awesome. It was cool, but the problem is that an elephant never forgets. So there are going to be people that say, well, you kind of were in charge of this asymmetrical game that you didn't give updates to before. Why am I going to buy another one from you? You know, I don't care if you get Scream or whatnot. It's going to be the same principle, the same philosophy. We're going to complain about updates. We're not going to get all of them realized, and then you're going to say the game is fully realized after 2 years, and you're going to pull the life support plug. That's what people are mad about, and that is the crux of the issue for asymmetrical multiplayers dying, because they have a fun idea, but they don't commit to it in the long term. And you want to make another asymmetrical horror game potentially? Like, no, people are gonna tell you no. People are gonna tell you hell no. I personally believe this is the living embodiment of losing the consumer trust. When you promise things and you get all elaborate with them, and you say that you're going to deliver on everything and that you're going to address everything, and then you only get half the work done and not all of it, and then you end up with a very, 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 very pissed off community. I don't believe that people at Gun deserve to lose their jobs, but if the next game fails, or if there is like only half the interest there, you're gonna have those salty Texas Chainsaw people be like, well, what have you done for me lately? And I believe that is a valid critique to have. That is a valid stance to have. If those people do not want to buy the next Gun Media asymmetrical multiplayer, then what have you done for me lately by canceling Texas Chainsaw, a game I really loved, enjoyed with the community, running around with Sissy and slicing people up. Like, it was... I'm not gonna say the game was trash, because I had a great time with it, but to do this is just a slap in the face, a middle finger equivalent to being kicked in the balls, because there was so much potential to be realized. And this is the crux of asymmetrical horror dying. It shouldn't be Dead by Daylight. We shouldn't be devoid of competition, if you will. We should have differing games. But the reality is, these developers are just not trying hard enough to keep the support afloat. And because of this, because DBD, they have support all of the time. They put updates all of the time. New killers, new monsters, everything, new maps. They do it lickety split. I think it's time to take note of what your main competitor is doing for asymmetrical horror before trying it yourself. Otherwise, you're gonna have another game dead in the water if you have PR equivalent to Gun Media. This is Renegade Operative. I am signing out. This is just a saddening update to me personally, with all things involved with Evil Dead. I liked Evil Dead. Texas Chainsaw. I like Texas Chainsaw. RE Resistance, I liked that game. I actually did. I thought the card system with the Mastermind was pretty cool, and I love killing like all of the other teammates in there. And Friday the 13th, also pretty fun to play with my friends. Video Horror Society, also fun, and they all got the same fate. I fucking hate it, dude. I really do. I'm right there with you in terms of understanding all this ire and frustration and anger, because it shouldn't be just Dead by Daylight around. We've seen some creative ideas, but the support is not there, and we have to call it out where it stands. Hopefully some competitor realizes that, just like DBD understands that with their fan base, and they deliver. Or at least, if you can't do that, do some horror movie properties that are single player and that are good, and at least we'll have something to take hold of, and it won't have the servers fucking get shut down, and we can enjoy it. Those ideas can be done, but the execution is the thing that we have to understand the most here. And if you can't commit to an online asymmetrical horror game, it's fucking done. See you guys next time. Later.